Welcome to the complete guide for going for a Legends title in a monthly event quest using Stark Enhanced Spidey. In recent times, Nick Fury has been added to the game, giving Stark Spidey three quite powerful synergies that kind of return him to his former glory of being one of the most competitive monthly event quest Legends runners around. He used to be the best at one point in time, and then I would say Corvus hit the scene and kind of took that title from Stark Spidey. But you're going to see in just a moment, these synergies that Nick Fury provides, they bump him right back up there. And it's hard to say, Corvus might still have the slight advantage, but it's very competitive these days with Stark Spidey. So let's break down the team first. So, of course, you have to have a very high level Stark Spidey. The highest level available, basically. So at the moment, that is a rank 5 5-star champion. As the game moves on and as we're able to get higher rank 6-star champions, you would need that basically. But at the moment, you need a 565 Stark Spidey. You also need a 4-star or higher version of Blade to get this synergy right here to give Stark Spidey 3 poise charges at the start of this fight. This is going to give you a massive attack and crit rating boost. Then, the synergies that Nick Fury provide. This first one here gives all hero champions a 10% attack rating boost, and Stark Spidey just so happens to be a hero champion. There's also some text here stating that if Nick is dead, you get an additional 10%. You basically double it. But don't worry about that. Nick Fury has to stay alive to get the other synergies that I'm going to show you, so Nick will be staying alive. Alright, the most important synergy is called Restoration Kit, where if Nick is alive, once per fight you shrug off certain types of debuffs. 2 of those types are Bleed and Poison. Well, when you have the Suicide Masteries on, you have a Bleed and Poison that just kind of shows up at the start of every fight. These will both be shrugged off if you have Nick Fury on the team. In addition to shrugging both of those off, you're also going to heal up for 10% of your max health, a little bit more if you have the Recovery Mastery, which means that you're basically going to be fully immune to all of the suicides, not just the bleed and the poison, but if you have to use some specials and take some recoil damage, or if you slip up and take a few shots in that fight, don't worry about it. The next fight you're going to heal up. Now, this is probably more important for Stark Spidey than any other champion around, because Stark Spidey gains a bonus for staying above 50% health. You gain a crit bonus with your poise charges that you're going to get from Blade. Now, you don't want to spend time building up poise charges. Those 3 that you get from Blade are going to be enough, but still, you gain a lot of crit chance from having those 3 poise charges. In addition to that, there's another synergy here using either of the Black Panthers that is going to double your crit rating for the first 10 seconds of the fight. Now, it's not exactly clear to me that, if you double the crit rating that you get from the poise charges or not, it doesn't really matter. Stark Spidey has a very high base crit rating that even if that's the only thing that gets doubled, you're still gaining a lot of crit rating. Actually, we'll go check that out real quick just to give you an idea. Maybe you're not familiar with Stark Spidey. He has 944 just base. So, yeah, you're going to gain at least 944. That's way more than any mastery even gives you, so extremely powerful. Couple of quick things to note about the synergy team, because that's basically it. The other 2 champions on the team, they're just there for synergy purposes. Couple of quick things to point out, though, is this restoration kit. I'm using Deadpool on the team here just because I know some people don't have Goldpool. Goldpool is a pretty rare champion, or the red version of Deadpool. Any of these Deadpools work, and actually, if you're using Goldpool, then you also gain 8% bonus attack for your specials. Now, you're not really going to be using specials so much, so I would say this is not a requirement. Even if you do use a special, they're going to die from it. That 8%, you're not going to notice it, so it's not a requirement, but if you have Goldpool, you might as well chuck them on the team. The other thing I will say is that if any of these synergies would be non-essential, considered non-essential, I would say it's this one where you're doubling your crit rating. It's very powerful, highly recommended, but there are some months where Stark Spidey can't handle some of the new champions that get released, or certain node combinations where you do need to bring in some other champion. So let's say you needed Void or someone else. You can cut the Black Panther synergy, throw in whatever champion you need to take out the boss, and whenever you finish killing that boss, you finish that quest 100%, you can get Black Panther back on the team, or you could do it in the other way around. You can clear everything except for that final boss, then cut Black Panther, throw that champion on. Either way, that would be the one spot to cut. There's another synergy here that Stark Spidey has that people might be wondering if it's worth throwing on the team or not, where you use Miles Morales or Kamala Khan, and this is going to give you an increased duration for your stun, shock, and ensnare debuffs. This is very powerful. As a matter of fact, I used this synergy team for one of my Legends run in the past, where it increases your stuns by 30%. That includes parry stuns. If you can increase your stuns by that duration, by 30%, you can actually do a double medium attack off of a parry and still get a whole 5-hit combo in. So you're basically doing a 7-hit combo instead of a 5-hit combo. That's a huge boost to your damage output. But I still think an even faster way to go through the quest is just to throw Black Panther on the team, get this synergy with Nick Fury. This is going to be the fastest way to go through the fights. The reason why Corvus is known to be the fastest Legends runner is because he has guaranteed crits. The closer you can get to guaranteeing crits, the faster your runs are going to be. Alright, let's move on to Masteries. So, the Mastery build that I have on screen, this is not the exact build that you want to copy. There's not that many essential Masteries for the run, so pay attention to the next few Masteries I'm going to point out, and then we'll go over some kind of extras that you can include in the build if you so choose. So the essentials would be maxed out Liquid Courage, maxed out Double Edge, and then I would say the next most essential would be Precision, Cruelty. That's about it, really. I mean, you should have Precision and Cruelty. The Liquid Courage and Double Edge, those are the only ones that maybe you don't have those unlocked yet, and you would need to get those in order to do the run. As we move on to the defensive tree, you're going to see that I have a lot of points left over. So we'll go back to the offensive tree in just a moment to kind of put points in the extra slots. But in the defensive tree here, I have willpower because, you know, this is my normal build. I'm not going for a Legends run at the moment. But if you're going for a Legends run and you have Nick Fury on the team, you're going to shrug off those Suicide Masteries. You don't need willpower because you're not going to have any debuffs on yourself. I only have this because it's my normal build. But you can save these points. You don't need to put any points into willpower. You don't need this point in Coagulate here because you're not going to be taking any bleed damage. And you don't need 15 points as a prerequisite to get over to the willpower. Which means you can cut some other Masteries from this build as well. As a matter of fact, the only thing I would say, it's not even essential, but the recommended Masteries for defensive, I would say you want Recovery maxed out, because this is going to increase the healing that you get from shrugging off the suicides with the Nick Fury synergy. And then having block proficiency maxed out is a good idea, just to help reduce some of the damage when you slip up, you don't land your parry, but you know you're blocking, taking some blocked hits. This will help you to stay above that 50% threshold, just that much more. Not required, but it is still recommended. So that is really only 10 points in the defensive tree. So I have an additional 9 points that I just kind of found that I could throw in some of the offensive Masteries. But I'm not done yet. Let's move over to proficiencies. I also don't need this point in Scouter Lens. And I also don't need 4 points in Limber because I'm not going to be getting stunned. There's no real enemies, unless there's a special note or something like that, that will stun me in the event quest. So you might want to look ahead for something like that. Go through the quest on a different difficulty just to get some practice, feel out the quest, watch somebody else do the run on a live stream, check with your alliance mates, that type of thing. See if you need any special mastery like Limber, but more than likely you're not going to need this mastery. So I just gained an additional 5 points in total, 4 points from Limber, 1 point from Scouter Lens, plus the 9 from defense. There's a ton of mastery points to play around with when you're using the Nick Fury synergy team. So what do I recommend with those mastery points? Well, let's stay in proficiency for just a moment here. You probably don't need Petrify because the enemies are going to die so fast that they're not even going to fill up a full bar of power. So you don't really need this. Same thing with Pacify. You don't really need this. The enemies are going to die so fast they're not even going to have time to trigger any abilities. So I wouldn't worry about it. Instead, what I would do is I would just dump any spare points into offensive masteries. Now, surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly. I would actually avoid Assassin. That wouldn't be the first place I turn to, at least. You may still want to put some points in here, but it wouldn't be the first place, because if the enemy is below 18%, your next attack is probably going to kill them anyway. I would first most important thing is glass cannon. The second is it's kind of hard to say. The math gets a little bit wonky, but it might actually be greater strength. It doesn't give you much for attack, but it will give you some attack. Not really going to notice it. It's cheap. It's, if you don't have Assassin unlocked, Assassin is a very expensive mastery. But, honestly, you could probably pick up all these things. You could probably have enough points to put in Glass Cannon, Greater Strength, Assassin. You could probably do it all just because you don't need to put many points in the defensive tree. But most of these things are going to have such a minor impact that I would say they're not requirements. They're only recommendations. But yeah, recoil, it's expensive, but if you maxed it out, it would make your specials hit harder, but you're probably not going to be using your specials. You're not going to notice any type of crit gain from lesser precision because you already gained so much crit from all the other stuff. Yeah, this stuff there's not really much to be said. Outside of those required things, like I said, the Suicide Masteries and then Precision and Cruelty, those are the hard requirements here. Okay, let's talk about some other things. Let's go over to the boosts. So a typical monthly event quest Legends run these days, looking at right around 3.5 hours or so. You want to be under 3.5 hours typically, and you want to be boosting as big as possible, right? And this boost package kind of puts you in a rough spot because it gives you 3 hours worth of boosts, but you want like 3.5 or 4 hours worth of boost, right? So you have two options. Either you can get 4 sets of the big boy boosts here, or because the quest starts out, at the moment you got to run through Heroic and Master for a Legends title, right? Maybe that changes in the future at some point, but right now it's Heroic and Master. Going through Heroic, you don't need to pop on the biggest boosts. You're not really going to notice a difference between using the biggest boost or using the mid-level boost. So if you want to, you could run these boosts for the first 30 or 40 minutes. Just pop the mid-level ones, and then from there, pop all of the biggest boosts. It's a good idea to have timers running, or at least kind of have an eye on the clock. Even a friend to help you out, if a friend can hop on, Discord or something like that to kind of give you reminders, like setting alarms and that type of thing. This way you know when the boosts are going to expire, when you can pop an additional boost. But that's what I'd recommend, is having 3 sets of the most powerful boosts available, and then starting the run with one of the weaker boosts and just being fine using that weaker boost. The other thing about these big boy boosts here is you don't necessarily need to pick up this package right here. You can get some of these boosts from other areas of the game. It's not that easy to get them. You do have to get some type of offer from Kabam, but sometimes there's special offers that come around. Or you can even get these through Marvel Insider from time to time, where maybe over a long enough period of time you can assemble enough boost to do the run without having to pick up this package. But you got to get them some way, one way or another. I would say the health boost is not required, but the attack and the champion boost, the green champion boost, those two are required. Anything that could boost your attack by that amount, yeah, it's required. That said, I would still put the health boost on just in case, you slip up, mistakes happen, you wanna stay alive, you wanna stay above that 50% threshold, and that would help out. So you might as well kind of go all in on the run and really go for it if you're going for it. The next thing is energy refills. Now, this slightly changes from month to month, but typically it takes about 40 energy refills in total. Usually a little bit under 40, but expect to be getting 40 of these refills worth. Actually, I'm scared to hit enter on this. I don't want it to accidentally have me buy it. Let's just do it this way. But yeah, you pretty much want to have 40 refills worth of units available to you, which is essentially 1,200. And there's a couple of ways to go about boosting. Of course, you want to have 10 in your inventory at the start of the run. You can kind of boost just throughout the run, buying them one at a time. You can actually save a tiny bit of time if, while moving down a path, you click on your energy bar, and in the quest there'll be an option to use items, and you can buy the energy boost that way. Or you can have, actually, they took away the gifting badge, didn't they? I was going to recommend you could have a friend mail you 10 at a time so you could just grab them from the mail, but never mind, Kabam just took that option out. So, yeah, you are going to have to get them from the quest. You could also have them in your overflow if you buy a special deal ahead of time to save some units that way and grab them from your overflow, but typically that's a little bit slower if you have to go back to the main screen and then click on your overflow button. So yeah, it's the recommended way is while moving on a path to hit that button to purchase those refills, basically. All right, that's pretty much it. Couple last minute pointers here. Make sure you're on a stable connection. Make sure that you're not doing it on a night where there's maintenance, which is usually Tuesday nights, but depending on where you are in the world, that time is going to change a little bit. And just go in with as much information available to you as possible. So, do the quest, do a run through on normal. Just familiarize yourself with all of the paths. Like, do a 100% run through. This way, in case there's anything weird where you're like, was I supposed to take a left here, or was that a right? I can't tell because the dotted lines, they look a little bit weird to me. Do stuff like that. You can go through on uncollected if you're able to do that. It's another option. Just kind of practice, have the information available to you. But the biggest thing really is just to have the right team for the job, and this is it right here. Alright, that is going to do it for this video. Good luck on your Legends attempt, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.